Hello everyone. Sorry it's been such a long time since my last video. So my last video I think was my 9-month update. Today is middle of December, I think it's the 15th. I'm recording this today. So it's been really 13 and a half months now since my hair transplant in Turkey, and I wanted to do a final video, a final update to give you guys what the results were. I've had quite a few messages with questions, so I'll do a bit of a Q&A at the end of the video, but really it's just a quick video to just share the results and really what my experience has been like, whether I'm glad to have had it done, and really what my next steps are in relation to keeping and maintaining my hair. So to begin with, here's the results. I've let it grow out a little bit over the last month or so. I think I'm probably gonna grow my hair a little bit into the new year. So this is it from the front, and then from the side, and then the other side. I don't know if I can get to the back. I'll try, and if I can't, then I'll put some photos up to show you. And of course on top as well. So again, I'm probably 6 to 8 feet away from a window, but quite a bright sunny day here in Devon today. So it's relatively harsh lighting. I mean, overall, I'm really pleased. Overall, I'm really pleased. When I look back at the photos of me prior to the hair transplant, and then I compare them to now, overall, there's been a massive change. It doesn't take that much more hair to be able to start doing completely different things with it. I was always someone that wanted to change my hairstyle. I never wanted to keep the same hairstyle for very long. In fact, even a couple of years ago when we went into lockdown, I decided to completely shave my hair off completely. I started bicking it, so it was completely clean bald. And I really enjoyed it, but I got bored. And when I got bored, I thought I'll let it grow out. And when it grew out, it looked horrendous. So the fact that I've got more hair, particularly in the frontal portion, is fantastic. It is thinner than what I expected. I would say over the last couple of months, it's thickened up a little bit. So since my 9-month update, I would say the hair has become a little bit more consistent with the rest of the hair on my head, the non-transplanted hair. And I would also notice that it started to thicken up, not so much on the front, but as we go back a little bit, it's started to thicken up a little bit there. I am still noticing some sensitivity on the crown, which was the same feeling I had when hairs were coming through at the front. So obviously I can't see the crown very well, but it feels like there is still things developing there, and when I look in the mirror, it's not quite as offensive as it once was. So that's really, really, really good. I'm still taking finasteride. I'm taking it 3 times per week on a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday, and I found for me that's been a quite happy medium. I've not noticed any excessive hair loss at all, and that's been the case really since day one, which is I took it 12 months ago, about a month after my hair transplant. The things that I'm not particularly happy with, I've got a couple of failed grafts, I think. I don't know how well it can be seen on camera, but there are some quite noticeable gaps on this side of the hair, sort of around here, which just haven't grown in, sadly. On this side, it's fine. It's got a really nice sort of hairline going back. On this side, it's a little bit irregular. It's relatively minute. I don't think most people, certainly people who didn't know that I had had a hair transplant. I don't think it's particularly noticeable, but to me it annoys me. So I hope at some point I can get that fixed and sorted. It was quite funny, actually. I've been working with a new boss at work, I would say, for the last 6 or 7 months. And she had no idea that I'd had a hair transplant. And it was only on our Christmas meal that we had a couple of weeks ago. She'd been told, and she thought it was a joke. She didn't realise it was real. So I think that was quite a pleasant comment to make, because we always worry that we want more hair, but we want it to look natural. And I do feel that what FUE Capilar have done, what Dr Turan has done, has made it natural. And really, where do I go from here? I've got a couple of options, really. Would I go back for a second transplant? Yeah, I probably would. I think the motivation to go back for a second transplant immediately isn't there. And that's purely because I think they've done a pretty good job. But yeah, if I could get the frontal third thickened up a bit and maybe to touch up the crown, albeit less so than what I expected it to do, then I think that would be a really, really good idea. And I think I would do that. I would probably leave it 12 months maybe, and do it maybe in a year. But the other thing I think I will do is oral minoxidil. So I've been on finasteride, but I haven't been on minoxidil at all. There's 2 forms of minoxidil. There's the topical minoxidil, and then there's the oral minoxidil. From doing bits of research online, it seems that the topical minoxidil, although very effective, can make hair a bit greasy. It's a bit more fiddly, whereas the idea of just being able to take a pill, a tablet, alongside my finasteride is fantastic. So I'm exploring some options with that, and if I do start that, then I'll let you guys know. It really has changed my life in a few ways, really. It's boosted my confidence. You know, you go out the house and you feel like you look good. You know, it's not, I didn't do it for anybody else. I did it for me, and it has an impact on lots of other things. My fashion sense has changed somewhat. So, you know, I wear clothes and dress in particular ways that I didn't do before. You know, I look at Pinterest a lot more for different hairstyles. I fancy trying something else. You know, I'm starting to grow my hair out. I don't know whether it would look any good, but fuck it, let's give it a go. So it has made a massive difference. I would certainly recommend it to, I would recommend exploring the idea. If you're not happy with your hair, period, explore the idea of a hair transplant. Hair transplants aren't suitable for everybody for a number of different reasons. I was quite lucky, really, because again, and I've said this in my previous videos, my donor area wasn't particularly great, in the sense that it's very thin hairs, which, despite me having, you know, a decent number of grafts, 4,200 grafts, it could be argued that it doesn't look like 4,200 grafts really, but you have to keep in mind that I think the microns in which they assess the diameter of the hair, mine was like 40 to 45. So it was very, very, very thin. So although the individual hairs might be there, they're not particularly thick. And in spite of that, I should say, the donor management has been fantastic. You know, there is no way now you could tell that I've ever had any procedure done. Even when I went down to a grade 0, it wasn't very noticeable whatsoever. And the extractions, remember, were done not by Dr Turan, but by the technicians. The implantations was done by Dr Turan. So the work they did there was phenomenal, really. If you're interested in exploring hair transplants, I would certainly encourage you to do so. I've done previous videos on what my experience has been, the actual process. I can't believe how quick a year has gone, if I'm honest. A few people have reached out and asked me a bunch of questions, and I haven't been able to get back to many people, sadly, because of work. I've got a young baby and it's all going a bit crazy at the moment. So I'm going to go through them here. Thank you for all the comments, by the way. It does help, and you know, it does give encouragement as well. It's nice. I've learned a lot because of the comments about experiences other people have gone through one recommended a video by Feller and Bloxham, hair transplant slow growers. And I found that really useful. And that video ultimately says that, you know, if you don't fit the normal pattern of, well, your hair should be this thick by 6 months, this thick by 9 months, some people are simply slow growers. And the video outlines that in a little bit more detail. What I would say is that if there are any dramatic changes to my hair, or I notice a considerable thickness, for instance, over the next few months, because I would say even the frontal bit of the hair isn't quite as thick and consistent as the rest of the hair at this moment in time. So it might be a case, slim possibility, that it does slightly get thicker over time. I don't know whether that will happen or not, but if it does, then I'll let you know. Heavy Pace 77 looks spectacular. Thanks, buddy. I was wondering what is your blood type, because for some strange reason people with negative blood types get the craziest of results. Anyway, my hair transplant is scheduled for the end of October. 4 to 5 grafts, man. I'm so anxious, can't wait. Great video, keep us updated. Thank you, buddy. Blood type, Christ, I haven't got a clue. O, I think it's whatever the regular one is. Is it O positive, maybe? So yeah, nothing crazy there, I don't think. Donor looks untouched, amazing, thanks. Zio works. Hair looks good, appreciate your honesty. Cheers from Dublin, Ireland. Thank you, buddy. Your hair looks great as is. Try some hair fibers. We want it to look really thick and post a video. That's really interesting. So I've done a video in the past of trying out some dry shampoos. If I'm honest, I don't use them very much at all. I do use dry shampoo as a bit of a thickening agent, as a bit of a styling product, really. But I haven't used any. You can get some which are brown in colour, which just sort of, I guess they just colour the scalp more than anything, a bit like a temporary SMP. But I haven't really used that recently, and it'll be interesting doing a comparison between dry shampoos and hair fibers, because hair fibers are significantly more expensive, I would suggest, than dry shampoo. And obviously with dry shampoo you get a lot more of it for a lot less money. So if you want me to do a comparison, let me know. That'll be quite interesting. Hi, have you had any side effects with finasteride? Yes, I did. I got to about 6 months and I found that I was becoming a lot more tired. I was getting a lot more down, albeit there was a lot of stuff going on personally at that point, so that could be a contributing factor. But that was really about it. I did stop. I stopped for a month to let it flush out of my system, and then I started again. I didn't have any crazy shedding or anything like that, so that was really good. I did seek some advice when I was going through that, and they did say obviously stress could be a contributing factor, but they said, look, just stay off it for a month, let it sort of come out of your system. I stopped for a month, carried on, and I felt fine. So whether the finasteride had any kind of depressing low mood type side effects, whether that was a contributing factor, I really don't know. I did experience them, but again, that could have been other things as well. But no, at the moment I'm 12 months in and I feel great. Samuel just subscribed. Could you please let me know where you got your transplant? Looks great. Thank you, buddy. It's FUE Capilar. I went to Dr Turan, albeit there's plenty of others that do really, really good jobs. You know, people have got an apprehension, I think, of going to Turkey in particular. I did. You know, you're having quite an invasive procedure in a country that very few people speak your language. It's quite a scary process, and yet the way I was treated was absolutely fantastic. I did a lot of research. I saw people who went from day 0 to day 365 consistently with different clinics, and you know, for me, FUE Capilar was a safe bet. But you know, I also looked at Cosmetica because I knew somebody that went and did it there and had really good results. So I think it really depends. I'd certainly choose a clinic which, if you know that in an ideal world that the doctor himself is doing certainly the implantation part, then for me that was a big plus. So, and I'll go back to Dr Turan. I thought he did a great job. You have a good result. I'm so happy for you. Could you tell me please why you didn't choose Cosmetica clinic that your friend chose? It was only, in fairness, that was my first inquiry. I had a few, I can't remember who the other clinic was. It was down to 3. Cosmetica was one, FUE Capilar was another, and there was a third. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Cosmetica was cheaper than FUE Capilar. I think it was me just, I went online, just did a ton of research about clinics. I looked at, who was doing them, the concern that, if technicians did them, for instance, although they can be incredibly good, there's no name behind the technician, and therefore technician teams can change, so the results you're getting aren't necessarily going to be reflected. The results you end up getting may not be reflective of the ones that you've seen online. I tell you what, the other big thing was for me with FUE Capilar was because I was worried about my donor area. Most of the clinics, when I sent the photos, were like, yeah, great, sign up, we'll do it. FUE Capilar was the only one that said, look, before we sign you up, can you please take a video with a comb going through your hair so we can see your donor in a bit more detail, because we want to make sure that we get it right with you. So I think that was, for me, that was the overriding thing. And I think because I was apprehensive of traveling, because I was apprehensive of having this procedure done in another country, I think having that reassurance that they took that extra care made all the difference for me. And the one thing I would say about Turkey clinics, and it's something I sort of not remind myself, but I always tell other people, is that these clinics in Turkey, obviously not all of them, but they do it every single day. They're sort of the epicenter of the hair transplant world. And so, competency is a massive factor. So, these people are very, very good at what they do, despite the fact that it's a lot cheaper than what it would be in the UK or in the United States or other places across the world. So, don't let that put you off, because, these guys are very good. A lot of them are. I have a question, perhaps a close-up could be the answer, but when I look at your hairline in your videos, it appears there's an almost slightly darker line along the edge of the hairline. Any idea what that is? I don't think I've seen that very much. Is that going to fade away, or am I seeing things? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Unless there is, I know there are a couple of hairs here where it just hasn't quite filled in immediately behind, if that's what you think, perhaps. I did have a lot of redness. That didn't go away for some time. And even now, like when my hair's really wet, like the top of my scalp will become pinker than, say, like my face, for instance. But on a day-to-day basis, I don't notice that at all. Looks good. If you want more density, I'll go to SMP before another hair transplant. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think I've considered SMP, and I think, to be honest, I wouldn't rule it out. I think the effect that, say, dry shampoo has, I know dry shampoo has have a bit of a thickening agent around it, and so it does thicken the actual hair itself, but sometimes the discoloration of the scalp can make a massive difference in terms of the illusion of density, because I've said this before, all hair transplants are, all they are is an illusion of density. They're just moving hair from the backs and sides of your head on top of your head. You have the same numbers of hair that you did before. They're just been relocated. And so, yeah, I think I'll definitely look into SMP. What dose of FIN do you take? It is 1 milligram of finasteride. I order mine from Dr. Fox online, UK website, gives you an online prescription. I bought it in bulk. I bought a year's worth. Cost me about 150 quid, I think, if I remember rightly. I know minoxidil is a bit more expensive, and oral minoxidil seems quite difficult to get hold of. There is a company, Manual, I think they're called, that do oral minoxidil tablets, and they seem quite easy to get hold of. So, and they do the online prescription. So that might be where I get my minoxidil. You're going to get SMP. I think I would look into it. I think my first step will be minoxidil, oral minoxidil. See how that does. Let's sort of layer the treatments one at a time, because you want to know what works really. But I would certainly do oral minoxidil and then fill in the gaps perhaps with SMP, and then if I don't like that, or I feel like I could do with more results, or want more results, or more density, then go and get another hair transplant. Hi, results are really good. I'd be chuffed. I've got my hair transplant at the end of the month. Really nervous, not about the hair transplant, but what I'm going to look like when my head is shaved for the next 6 to 9 months. I'm taking oral minoxidil. Would anyone or yourself know if I should stop before the procedure and start again once healed, or should I be okay to carry on taking it? Any aid would be good. I don't know. You're going to have to ask your doctor, I think. My understanding was that you should stop the medication. I thought was around a month before your transplant. I think oral minoxidil, I think you can take straight away, or after a week or so once it's healed up. And then finasteride, you had to wait a month. But I don't know is the honest answer. In relation to shaving your hair, just own it. I really enjoyed rocking the shaved look for a while, and to be honest, I would probably do it again regardless of the fact that I've got a hair transplant and the ability to grow hair, or more hair at least than what I did before. So don't worry about that. Just own it. If you can grow a beard or something, then that'll look even better. And also, you probably won't be shaved for 6 to 9 months. You know, give it, I don't know, 2-3 months, and you know, where it depends where you're going bald, but you can be clever with the haircuts that you have. You can still have it quite short and cropped and make it fit in with your existing hair. So yeah, don't worry about that. Cool. So I think that's about it. If you've got any questions, then if there's enough to do another Q&A, then I certainly will. But look, thank you so much for watching all my videos. I hope you found them useful. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll try and get back to you. Take care.